As I'm recording this video in early June of 2021, the world is still trying to determine the origins of the COVID-19 virus. Where there was once agreement among the media and scientific experts that the virus must have leapt to humans from an animal host, there is now a debate between adherents of that theory and those who believe that the virus leaked from a laboratory in Wuhan. Many good points have been made on both sides, and I might make a video in the future comparing the two theories. But for now I don't want to go over all of the evidence. I just want to share one interesting story that seems to have been missed by both sides. It's about an event sometimes referred to as the biological Chernobyl. The story takes place in the Soviet Union during the spring of 1979. While doing routine maintenance at a biological weapons facility, a technician removes a filter from a clogged air vent. He leaves a written notice for his supervisor to let him know not to turn the machines back on without replacing the filter, but the supervisor does not pass this information on to the workers of the next shift. Without realizing anything is wrong, they turn the machines back on. Another technician soon notices the missing filter and replaces it. Only a couple hours have passed with the machines running unfiltered, but the damage is done. You see, this lab was built to study anthrax, a deadly bacteria which can be weaponized, and when the machines were running unfiltered, they were pouring anthrax spores out into the open air. This particular facility was right next to the Soviet city of Sverdlovsk, which is today called Yekaterinburg. It is the fourth largest city in Russia, and at that time it had a population of 1.2 million people. Luckily, when the anthrax was leaked, the wind was blowing away from the city, otherwise hundreds of thousands of people may have become infected. Instead, the wind blew the anthrax towards a ceramics plant across the street. All the workers in that plant would fall ill in the coming days, and almost all would die. The death toll is reported to be at least 66, but the exact numbers are unknown due to the cover-up that followed. First, the KGB destroyed hospital records and other evidence that could point blame at the government. Then the Communist Party told the world that these workers had died from eating tainted meat they bought on the black market. Finally, years later, in 1986, Dr. Matthew Meselson of Harvard was granted a brief trip to Moscow, where he interviewed the top Soviet health authorities. He later issued a report which agreed with the Soviet assessment that the outbreak was caused by a contaminated meat processing plant, concluding the Soviets' official explanation was completely plausible and consistent with what is known from medical literature and recorded human experiences with anthrax. If the Soviet Union hadn't collapsed only a few years later, we might still believe the official story. Instead, the new Russian government admitted that military development was the cause. At this point, a team of Western scientists, including Dr. Meselson, were allowed into the country for a full investigation of the disaster, where they were able to determine what really happened. As you can see, there are many parallels between this story and the lab leak theory about the origins of COVID-19. First, a biological laboratory in an authoritarian country has a deadly leak. Then the government covers it up to avoid blame. Finally, they allow very limited and controlled investigations from foreign nations, in order to look like they have nothing to hide. The investigation invariably agrees with the government, which in both cases blamed tainted meat. In the case of COVID-19, the Chinese government blamed beef imported from Australia. I made this video in response to the large number of people in the media and academia today who claim that the lab leak story is implausible, because it would be too hard to keep a conspiracy of this scale under wraps. A recent LA Times article quotes Robert F. Gary of Tulane Medical School as saying that the lab leak theory would require a massive conspiracy and cover-up, involving a lot of people, including some very accomplished scientists, not telling the truth about what they were working on or what they had. My point is that this sort of conspiracy is not only plausible, it has happened before. I, like most, am still undecided on the origins of COVID-19, but I think it's important that the world knows about the story of the biological Chernobyl, and understands how well authoritarian governments can hide the truth in order to avoid blame. I hope that this time, Western nations will demand a full and open investigation into the origins of COVID-19, and we won't have to wait for a change of government in China to find out the truth. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about the origins of COVID-19 in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.